Okay, good morning everyone, and thank you for the IBA to invite me to come over here. And it's nice to see people that I've seen before at previous conferences. I was asked to talk in Lithuania 3 years ago and 2 years ago in England. Just to give you some background, we started to be involved in black current research in 2013. And we have been sort of in the business for about 5 years now. And so what I will do in this presentation is share with you some of the latest observations that we have. I'm not going into the mechanisms why we have these observations, but hopefully get you all excited about the potential of blackcurrant with applications for exercise and health. Now, it will be no surprise for you that berries contain all kinds of polyphenols, and there are many benefits reported in the literature, many benefits on health, but we started to focus initially on whether there are benefits for exercise, whether there are benefits for the recovery of exercise. So our focus was very much on athletes' performance. There's a website called Phenol Explorer. The link is over here. And when you go to that website, it collates composition of many food products, many berries, and when there is sort of consensus about those compositions, you can find out the polyphenol composition of, in this case, these 4 berries. What I want to highlight here is that if you look at blackcurrant here, that's mainly a purple column, indicating that it's mainly the anthocyanins that, if you find beneficial effects, it is beneficial effects due to the anthocyanin intake. So blackcurrant anthocyanins have potential beneficial effects for exercise and health. So what I'm going to do in this talk is, as I said, share some of those observations. We're going to talk about insulin sensitivity. Being from England, we like to talk about football. I will talk about fat burning, because most of us carry a bit too much of that, including myself, and we like to burn our fat a little bit more leaner and probably get health benefits from that. I will talk about blood vessels getting bigger during exercise, which is, me being an exercise physiologist, very interesting, bloody interesting, because more blood to work in tissues is very important for brain function, for muscle function, and so on. And then Japanese 2020 is coming. The Olympic Games are coming in Japan in very challenging environments. So we're doing studies at the moment to hopefully prepare athletes what they can expect when they would use blackcurrant supplements. So let me start with insulin sensitivity first. Due to the lifestyles that a lot of people have adopted, there is an epidemic of people who are obese and who have type 2 diabetes. And just to give you an example of how severe the problem is, and this is data from the United States, from the Centers of Disease Control in the United States. This was 1994, and with the color in the top maps indicates the percentage of people that were obese. So if you look in 1994, there's quite a few states where obesity rate was lower than 14%, but in about 11 years' time, it moved to states all in red, with really high obesity rates. If you look at type 2 diabetes, there's a similar pattern. And that's an unhealthy lifestyle. So any nutritional intervention that can reduce insulin sensitivity or can increase insulin sensitivity, because what had happened in people with diabetes, for example, their tissues became less sensitive to insulin. When we take a meal, when we take carbohydrates, our glucose level goes up, we release insulin to make sure the blood glucose levels go back to normal again. So we looked at a particular study where we wanted to see whether blackcurrant could increase the insulin sensitivity. We used New Zealand blackcurrant powder for this study, and it's very important to note that the intake was only for 1 week. 1 week only, 6 grams, that's a big spoonful of blackcurrant, in this case New Zealand blackcurrant powder, and we then measured glucose and insulin when they take 75 grams of glucose, and then followed what the disappearance was of the glucose and how the insulin production was affected. So here you have an example of that. You see over the time of 2 hours, blood glucose goes up, then over 2 hours it goes back to baseline again. And we had some reduction. It wasn't that impressive, but overall there was a reduction in blood glucose, in the clearance of blood glucose, which is beneficial. What is really exciting is that if we now look at the insulin that caused this release in blood glucose, we have really substantial observations not only in resting insulin, which you can see at time point 0, but also over the 2-hour period. In fact, overall, the area under the curve, which is used by clinicians to say something about the effect of a drug or a nutritional intervention, the decrease was 30%. That is really large and clinically significant. So basically, you clear your glucose with much less insulin, which means that in 7 days' time, tissues in the human body became more sensitive for insulin. And for those who really have an interest in this topic, this was published in a journal called Functional Foods in Health and Disease. Okay, let's move on to football now. It's a complex sport, football. They do a lot of sprinting. It's difficult to study in real competition. So what we do as exercise physiologists, we have sort of standard tests that we use to measure performance ability. And in this case, we used a sprint test where the footballers had to sprint 35 meters, which takes them about 5-6 seconds or so. And then they have a 10-second break, they sprint again. 10-second break, and again. And it's a very tiring task. And we asked the participants to sprint as hard as they can. So we were interested to see whether blackcurrant would have an effect on performance, sprint performance. We used 2 groups of footballers in here, this study. We used university footballers, students, sort of categorizing them as less trained individuals, which some of the participants found a bit offending, because they have, they thought higher of themselves, but we categorized them as the less trained individuals, and there was no effect. Because what you see here is sprint number 1 had a particular time, and then sprint number 2 was slower, sprint number 3 was slower, and so on. However, if we looked at the highly trained footballers, and these were young adults in a professional football club, in an academy, who train 3-4 times a week, there was an effect on sprint performance. So basically, what this figure means is that they were slowing less because of the blackcurrant intake. And in this particular study, we used capsules, New Zealand, filled with New Zealand blackcurrant extract, and we used capsules from a company in the UK called Health Currency, and one of the directors here in the audience is here in the audience as well. Maybe you can raise your hand, Nikki, where you are, because they supply us with not only blackcurrant extract, but also placebo capsules, which is very important because we need to do those studies double-blind, which means the athletes should not know what they're taking. They know they take a capsule, they don't know what's in there, and they're being tested with a capsule with nothing in there, and a capsule with blackcurrant extract. So it's completely blind, what we call a crossover randomized design. An extremely simple study to do, with an exciting observation. Again, published, you can find it online. As a result of this, these things can happen. You get sort of the newspapers that I don't read, but they give attention to these studies. And for those familiar with English football, Tottenham Hotspur is a top 4 team or 3, well, high up in the Premiership. And the sports nutritionist of Tottenham Hotspur has adopted the blackcurrant capsules with her players. And so it attracts important media attention. Now, are blackcurrants the secret behind Tottenham's non-stop playing style? It's a nice heading, but me being an academic, I don't believe in these firm statements. But it's nice publicity. We do the science, and you get media attention, which is good for blackcurrant in general. Then the fat burning. So what happens during exercise, and it depends a bit on the intensity of the exercise, but you use carbohydrates and fat as an energy source. And we did some studies in the past where we find with short exercise bouts, we found that we had enhanced fat oxidation. The athletes were using more fat during the exercise. Initial studies were done with 10 minutes of exercise. We increased that to 2 hours of exercise on a bike. It's, with all respect, it's the kind of exercise that most of us can't do because we're not trained enough. I myself would struggle with that. But when we followed the fat oxidation in these male cyclists, which were sort of moderate to highly trained, we found a 21.5% increase in fat oxidation. Nobody believed us. You're making that up. Because that is huge for a nutritional intervention. During 2 hours of cycling. Again, using New Zealand blackcurrant extract in those capsules. And as I said, people were skeptical. So we decided to collaborate with another university to have that study repeated, to get, hopefully, credibility. So we collaborated with Liverpool John Moores University, which is one of the top universities in the UK in sport and exercise science. And instead of doing it in males, we decided to do it in females. Because the company, they're very keen to make claims, and sometimes they generalize too much. You know, we have a finding, and then they think it applies to everyone, and I don't agree with that. So I said, we need to see whether we can have these observations in females. So we did this in females. We had 21.5% in males. And now the results of the female study, 27. We were so happy that this happened. So an independent university from us, with one of their subjects producing using 55% more fat during exercise. And you don't need to be on the bike for 2 hours. Because if you look at the figure here, fat oxidation, you know, at 15 minutes, it's already higher. It is high and stays high during the 2 hours. And then the media gets all crazy. You know, fat loss is a very popular topic in media. And challenging times for the company, beneficial financial opportunities there for them. I think the directors didn't sleep for about 4 weeks after this appeared in the newspapers. Okay, let me move on to what potentially could be mechanistic in the effect of blackcurrant. A big blood vessel getting bigger. Now this is a pure exercise physiology study where you just study an isolated muscle group. Not the whole body in exercise, just an isolated muscle group. 7 days intake again, 2 capsules a day, and we measured the diameter of the femoral artery, which is a big blood vessel. And what happens normally during exercise, these blood vessels dilate, they become wider, because there is a need for muscles to get nutrients, oxygen, and so on. And this is what we found. With New Zealand blackcurrant, no purple here for the squares, but the top, the data on top indicates that we found a 6 to 7% increase in diameter of the femoral artery. If you then take into account our blood pressure changes that we measured as well, we can sort of estimate that blood flow was up by 20 to 25%. And that potentially is a mechanism for all the beneficial effects that we see. New Zealand blackcurrant extract that we used in this case increases blood flow. And again, that is published. All very exciting, but how does it work? Well, there is a big challenge there. Because yes, we need the anthocyanin intake, but then what happens to the degradation products of that? That's a big challenge. Also, there's a lot to explore how the gut microbiome is playing a role, because in our studies, not everyone responds. About 20% of the people don't respond. We want to know why that is. We also want to know why the 80% responds. We have that in health studies and exercise studies. So are we there yet? No, we still have a long way to go, and a very exciting few years ahead of us. Japan 2020 is coming. As I said, a challenging environment. A lot of athletes are going to exercise in the heat, and we don't know whether taking blackcurrants could be beneficial. It could be not, and that's what we need to know. The Australian Institute of Sport, English Institute of Sport wants to know the answer to this. can we advise athletes to take this? And we have, at the moment, 2 studies ongoing on this topic. We're also going global. I'm getting to my last few slides edited, so you're walking up, like, come on, the time is almost up. We have expanded our collaborations in the UK. People really take note of this now. And we also have completed 2 studies with universities in Japan. We have completed 1 study with a university in Thailand, and we hope to set up studies with a university in Saudi Arabia, also with focus on health, because obesity and type 2 diabetes is a major problem in that country. So hopefully I have convinced you that we do nice science, I think we do, and it gets a lot of media attention, which is good for blackcurrant, which is good for growers and stakeholders. I don't know exactly what that means, but it seems to be a word used a lot in industry, so I thought I'll stick that on there. Stakeholders. It's good for stakeholders as well. So, do we see a competition of berries? Yes. I think blackcurrant is leading the way. But no, it will be good to find out whether other berries are, similar or maybe better. But blackcurrant is doing really well. All this work supported by Sujong and Health Currency. I get support from the New Zealand Blackcurrant Cooperative to go to conferences, and I had support from the IBA to come over here. Thank you very much for your attention.